Just another mindful Monday. Oh, oh. I'm so grateful it's Monday. Oh, I just made that shit up on the fly. Oh, mindful Monday. Welcome. I'm so fucking happy to have you here today. So, the video to be mindful of on this Monday is a theme that's going on in my life, which I'm working on in many areas with my videos, in my relationships, improving myself altogether, and it's communication. I want to tell you about a story when I was in a very difficult marriage with a person who was very hard to communicate with. We were married for 20 years. The marriage was very isolating. I felt alone. Not less than halfway through, I just began living my own life. I would distract myself from feeling the feelings of loneliness and isolation and being with someone who wasn't there with me. And I'm not saying that I was perfect. I was not perfect. I'm still not perfect. But this person just was a very self absorbed person for whatever reason. Their life was a lot just about them. It was very hard for them to communicate. They were very defensive, gaslighting, stonewalling, defensiveness, a lot of like just ignoring situations. So, towards the end of this marriage, I had been working on myself quite a while, and I knew that if I wanted a different life, I needed to make changes. So I had begun making changes. I was going to the gym, I was in college, I was meditating. Well, now it came to a point where I realized that I needed to work on my communication. Like, if I was expecting someone to be an amazing communicator, I needed to work on my own communication. So I began working on it in this marriage. And I knew it wasn't going to be received well. But what I also knew is I could be completely certain that in this marriage, I was vulnerable and working on communication and trying everything before it ultimately came to an end. So I became very vulnerable and would bring up situations where I felt insecure or uncertain. And often I was met with adversity. Well, it wasn't often. It was 100% of the time. And it would hurt. Even though you're in a relationship with someone and you may realize that this relationship is not serving you, but you'd been with someone so long and they're so willing to be able to treat you in such a way where just like to disregard you as a human. So it was a very difficult time to go through. Um, I'm not suggesting anyone follow this technique. If it's something you want to follow, that's up to you. Only you can make these decisions about relationships you're in, if they're serving you, if they're not. Nobody else can. But the reason why I decided to do this was more for myself. It was building building blocks, building skills, and Knowing that if I ever wanted a relationship where I could talk to someone about anything, I needed to be that person that could talk about anything, no matter how uncomfortable it felt. That was my computer, sorry. I'm gonna shut it. Um, so conversations can be difficult, right? They can be really hard to bring up, especially if we're people pleasers. Um, if it's not something we've ever done before, if we're not if we're not in a situation where it's easy to communicate with our partner or friend, I just would like to advise you that maybe it's time. No, I don't want to advise you. I would like to invite you to understand that working on your communication can only make relationships better. I think a lot of times in today's world, there's a lot of expectation of people to know how you feel. And when they don't know, maybe you get upset with the person that they didn't respond in a way that you expected them to. I just would invite you to examine expectations. I understand now that it's my responsibility to help people understand how I'm feeling. And if I'm not doing that, I can't expect that person to comply or react in a certain way. So that's the first thing I want you to think about is eliminating expectations from people and understanding we are accountable for our feelings and our emotions and sharing those. And it's not anybody else's responsibility to just know how you're feeling. Then I would like to challenge you to make a commitment to yourself that working on your communication is making you a better person, regardless of how people react to your communication and your feelings and your emotions and how you're expressing them to you. I would also like to invite you to understand if there is someone who can't hear how you feel when you're coming from a place of genuine love and care, acceptance of your feelings, but expressing them, that's it's something to think about if that relationship is serving you. I'm not saying a partner should be like able and not reactive 100% of the time, but I do believe a healthy relationship where someone cares about you, not compares about you, but when they care about you, you're met with a safety to bring your feelings to them majority of the time. Something that I'm working on lately, which I know that I tend to not always, but especially at times when I'm more vulnerable, if I'm not feeling well, if I've had a stressful week, it can be harder to hear someone express a concern or a feeling to me. So I'm working on understanding that I need to clarify messages. Sometimes I may need to walk away and express that, but I need to communicate that and explain that I need to have some time to process what's been said. But really understanding that reaction is like it doesn't get us anywhere. So understanding that we can come from a place of, and I'm not saying don't have emotions, but I'm saying reaction with reacting with those emotions doesn't it doesn't give opportunity for resolving a situation. And it's something me and my husband have talked about and work on together is one, the understanding that we're both human beings and those reactions will have, well, they'll be there sometime. And being there for the other person when they happen, but also reminding them that they're in a safe place, that they can ask questions and clarify. I think oftentimes we just need a understanding that the other person is there in our best interest. They're not trying to hurt us. And that message can be distorted at times. That's okay. But working on it together, communicating, expressing your feelings, not from a place of contempt or defensiveness, but ac like, accepting and accountability that they're your emotions and they're your feelings, and you understand that person may not know that you're going through this, but also being able to ask for what you need. I don't always know how to do that, and that's not necessarily somebody else's problem. So, I just would like to invite you to take a look at your communication, and if you're expecting people to know how you feel, maybe reevaluate that and come at it from a place of accountability and know that you need to express yourself in a way that you understand these are your feelings and they're your responsibility. And if you don't express them, accepting responsibility for that too. It all can be hard. But ultimately, we're responsible for ourselves. And I think it can be easy to lose sight of that when you feel emotional and hurt. But regardless of feeling hurt, these emotions are ours and we're responsible for expressing them to someone. So that's it today. Mindful Monday is to just think about communication and how you're expressing yourself to people. And if you're taking accountability for your feelings and your emotions, or if you're blaming someone for them, if you're asking for what you need, or if you're expecting someone just to give it to you. Because people are not mind readers. I know I'm not, and even when I'm met with a difficult conversation from someone, I know that they're coming from a place of trying to make the relationship better, and even though it might be scary, emotional, I'm able to stay present in the conversation, even though at times I feel like running away. I stay there, I remain open, no matter how upset I am, open to the possibility that I'm not hearing something correctly, or I need to clarify and ask questions, and being okay with that. So that's our message for this Mindful Monday. Thank you for coming. I am off on vacation right now, so I got a little bit ahead to make sure to my commitment to you for Mindful Mondays is followed through because it's super important to me that my community is getting everything that I've promised. And if you have any sort of subjects you'd like to discuss on relationships, on life, on discipline, whatever it may be, I'd love if you put it in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It just helps out my little channel and it helps me grow. And I'm really wanting to reach as many people as possible and hoping to help them with my story. So, see you next time.